Yo, this is the update nobody was ready for. The hip-hop world is in complete shock right now because the latest news about Lil Scrappy's health has everyone holding their breath. Just when fans were praying for a miracle, doctors have finally broken their silence, and let me tell you, it's not looking good. Sources close to the situation are saying that the hope for Scrappy's recovery is fading fast. And what's even more heartbreaking is that even his closest family and friends are struggling to keep it together. The hospital corridors have been filled with whispers, tears, and tension, and the doctors' expressions say it all. One insider even claimed that a major confrontation just went down, with Scrappy's family demanding answers about what's really happening behind closed doors. And y'all, when the lead doctor finally spoke, what he said was absolutely terrifying. Could this really be the end for Lil Scrappy? Is there something they're not telling us? Fans are in shambles, and social media is already flooded with speculation. Stay locked in, because we're about to break down every single shocking detail that's unfolding right now. This is a story you cannot miss. The atmosphere inside Atlanta General Hospital was thick with tension, the kind that presses down on your chest and makes it hard to breathe. The fluorescent lights flickered slightly, casting a cold, unforgiving glow over the sterile white walls. The waiting area was packed, family, friends, and fans who had gathered after hearing the news about Lil Scrappy's deteriorating condition. For days, the hospital staff had kept their lips sealed about Scrappy's recovery, but the silence was starting to feel like a death sentence. People had seen this before, the vague responses, the carefully chosen words, the forced optimism that masked a grimmer reality. And then, at exactly 3:47 p.m., the door to Scrappy's hospital room swung open, and out stepped Dr. Marshall Green, the lead physician handling Scrappy's case. The room went dead silent. Dr. Green was a man of precision and logic, someone who never let emotions get in the way of his job. But today was different. There was something in his eyes, something that sent a chill down everyone's spine before he even said a word. Mama D, Scrappy's mother and reality TV queen, was the first to react. She shot up from her seat, her breath coming in short, panicked gasps. "Doctor, please tell me my son is okay." Her voice cracked mid-sentence, something completely out of character for the strong-willed woman who had built her entire public image on being unshakable. Dr. Green took a slow breath before speaking. "I wish I had better news." Those 6 words hit like a wrecking ball. Diamond, Scrappy's longtime friend and rumored former flame, felt the blood drain from her face. Big Mike, Scrappy's manager and closest business associate, let out a low curse under his breath. The tension was unbearable. Mama D's hands clutched her chest as if she had just been stabbed. No. This isn't happening. Not my baby. Tears spilled down her cheeks, breaking the last shred of composure she had been clinging to. Big Mike stepped forward, his jaw clenched. "Doctor, we need real answers. None of this vague bull." Dr. Green held up a hand. "We've done everything we can. But Scrappy's heart," he paused, as if even saying the words was difficult, "is failing." Silence. A suffocating, horrible silence. Then, chaos. Mama D let out a piercing scream. She lunged toward Dr. Green, grabbing the front of his coat with both hands. Nurses rushed in to separate her from the doctor, but she fought against them, her nails digging into the fabric of his coat. Diamond burst into tears, her sobs shaking her whole body. Big Mike punched the wall, his face twisted in anger and disbelief. And then, the sound no one wanted to hear. From inside Scrappy's hospital room, the sharp, high-pitched beep of the heart monitor changed. The steady rhythm suddenly faltered. Then, a long, drawn-out beep. Flatline. A nurse rushed out of the room, breathless, her face pale. "Doctor, his heart rate just crashed." Dr. Green didn't waste a second. He spun on his heel and rushed inside, with a team of nurses trailing behind him. The scene inside was pure chaos. Scrappy lay motionless on the hospital bed, his skin frighteningly pale. The machines were blaring alarms, red lights flashing desperately. "We're losing him," a nurse shouted. Dr. Green grabbed the defibrillator paddles. His voice was sharp, urgent. "Clear?" A violent shock surged through Scrappy's body. His chest lifted off the bed for a split second before crashing back down. No response. Again, clear. Another jolt. Nothing. The nurses exchanged glances. Their faces were grim. From the hallway, Mama D was screaming, "Don't you give up on him. Scrappy, don't you dare leave me." Diamond was on her knees, praying out loud, her voice cracking. Then, suddenly, a weak but steady beat filled the air. Dr. Green exhaled sharply. "We got him back, for now." Outside, when the door finally opened, Dr. Green's face was pale and exhausted. Mama D grabbed his arm. "What does that mean? He's gonna be okay, right?" Dr. Green hesitated. "He's still in critical condition, and I don't know if his heart can handle another crash like that." The words sent a fresh wave of panic through the room. Big Mike's voice was hoarse. "So what the hell do we do now?" Dr. Green rubbed a hand over his face, looking utterly defeated. "Right now, all we can do is pray." The weight of his words sank in like a ton of bricks. And then, a voice from the doorway shattered the moment. "I need to see him." Everyone froze. Mama D whipped her head around, her eyes narrowing. Standing in the entrance, looking tormented but determined, was Lil Scrappy's father. The room went dead silent. Mama D's eyes widened in pure fury. The entire hospital fell into silence once again. Everyone had the same burning question. If the donor wasn't willing, then what would happen to Scrappy? Mama D's eyes widened in panic as she turned to the doctor. "What do you mean the donor isn't willing? If they're a match, make them do it." Dr. Green let out a heavy sigh. "We can't force anyone, Miss D. The donor has to agree voluntarily." Diamond felt like the ground beneath her had disappeared. Scrappy's life was hanging by a thread, caught in a cruel twist of fate. If the donor refused, Mama D clenched her fists, her rage boiling over. "Tell me who the donor is. I'll talk to them myself." Dr. Green looked at her, hesitant. "You want to speak to the donor?" "Damn right I do. If my son's life depends on them, I'll do whatever it takes." Dr. Green exchanged glances with the other doctors before nodding reluctantly. "The donor is currently in police custody. He's an inmate serving time for attempted manslaughter." The room went completely still. Big Mike, who had been pacing anxiously, snapped his head toward the doctor. "Wait, hold up. You're telling me Scrappy's only chance at survival is in the hands of a Dane criminal?" Dr. Green gave a grim nod. "I'm afraid so." Diamond let out a shaky breath. "Do we know why he won't agree to the transplant?" Dr. Green hesitated. "Well, he says he has no reason to save someone he doesn't know. He claims life has never been fair to him, so why should he be fair to anyone else?" Mama D's anger surged. "What kind of selfish monster thinks like that? We need to see him, now." Dr. Green sighed. "I can try to arrange a visit, but there's no guarantee he'll even listen." Mama D's voice turned ice cold. "Oh, he'll listen." The next day, Mama D, Diamond, and Big Mike arrived at the prison facility, where they were led into a visitation room. The air was thick with tension, and the cold metal chairs did nothing to make the atmosphere any less uncomfortable. Seconds later, a tall, heavily tattooed man was escorted in, his wrists cuffed to his waist. His eyes were dark, guarded, filled with years of pain and anger. This was Darius D. Rock Mitchell, the only person who could save Scrappy's life. He sat down, barely sparing them a glance. "So, y'all the ones begging for my heart, huh?" Mama D didn't waste a second. "Listen here, boy. My son is fighting for his life in that hospital, and you are the only one who can save him. So you best start talking about why the hell you're refusing." D-Rock smirked. "Why should I? Ain't nobody ever saved me. When I needed help, where was the world? Now y'all expect me to just give away a part of myself." Diamond leaned forward, her voice trembling. "Scrappy has a family, a daughter, people who love him. You're saying you wouldn't help an innocent man when you have the power to." D-Rock's smirk faded slightly, but he quickly masked his emotions. "Life's unfair. I got dealt a bad hand. Now it's someone else's turn to feel what I felt." Mama D's patience snapped. She slammed her hands on the table. "Listen, you selfish bastard. If you let my son die, I swear to God, I will make sure you regret it for the rest of—" D-Rock looked away, his expression unreadable. He was battling something deep inside: pain, anger, guilt. After a long pause, he muttered, "Even if I wanted to help, it ain't that simple. The system won't just let me donate." Mama D frowned. "What do you mean?" D-Rock exhaled sharply. "Inmates can't just sign up to donate organs. I'd have to get special permission, go through medical screenings, and get approval from the state. It's a long-ass process. Diamond's heart sank. Time was something they didn't have. Big Mike slammed his fist on the table. Then we'll make it happen. We'll go through every damn legal hoop if we have to. D-Rock hesitated. For a moment, it seemed like he might actually consider it. But then he leaned back and crossed his arms. Ain't nobody doing all that for me. Y'all just want my heart, and then y'all gon' forget I exist. Mama D's eyes darkened. If you do this, I swear, I'll make sure you ain't forgotten. I have connections. You help my son, I'll make sure your name means something outside these prison walls. D-Rock looked at her, studying her face. Then, finally, he let out a slow breath. I'll think about it. It wasn't a yes, but it wasn't a no either. As the guards led D-Rock away, Diamond turned to Mama D, fear in her eyes. What if he says no? What if we can't get the legal stuff done in time? Mama D's expression was unreadable. But her voice was firm. Then we find another way. Because one thing was for sure, she was not letting Scrappy die. Mama D, Diamond, and Big Mike left the prison with heavy hearts. Time was slipping away, and Scrappy's condition wasn't improving. The doctors had already warned them. If he didn't receive the transplant soon, his body would shut down completely. Back at the hospital, the air was thick with tension. The beeping monitors, the hushed whispers of nurses, and the distant hum of machines created an eerie atmosphere. Scrappy lay unconscious, his breathing shallow. Fans were camped outside the hospital, waiting for updates. Social media was flooded with prayers, speculations, and panic. Mama D stood by Scrappy's bedside, gripping his cold hand. I don't care what it takes, she muttered under her breath. I'm gonna save you, baby. Even if I have to move mountains. Diamond wiped away tears as she sat in the corner, scrolling through her phone, desperate for answers. There has to be a way to get that transplant approved fast. Big Mike paced the room, rubbing his temples. Man, we're running out of time. We need to do something now. Then, as if on cue, the door burst open. Dr. Green rushed in, his face pale. We have a major problem. Mama D's heart sank. What now? Dr. Green took a deep breath. D-Rock. He's refusing to sign the consent papers. The room went dead silent. Diamond's eyes widened in horror. But he said he'd think about it. Dr. Green shook his head. Apparently, he changed his mind. He's saying he won't go through with the transplant unless he gets something in return. Mama D's fists clenched. D-Rock smirked. Like I told you people, I ain't doing this unless I get something out of it. Mama D's eyes burned with fury. You're playing God with my son's life. Is that what this is? Some power trip? D-Rock's smirk faltered. He looked away, tapping his fingers against the table. You don't get it, lady. People like me, we don't get second chances. The system don't care if I save your son. Soon as I'm done, they'll throw me right back in here like I never did nothing good. Mama D softened. For the first time, she saw past the cold exterior. She saw the pain, the anger, the years of being discarded by society. She took a deep breath. You want to be remembered? You want to mean something? Then do this. Save Scrappy's life, and I swear to God, I'll make sure the world knows your name. You'll be the man who gave life, not the man who took it. D-Rock stared at her, his jaw tightening. For a moment, she thought he was going to refuse again. But then, he exhaled slowly and nodded. All right. Mama D's breath caught. All right. D-Rock met her gaze. I'll do it. Tears welled up in Mama D's eyes, but she quickly wiped them away. Good. I'll make sure you ain't forgotten. D-Rock leaned back in his chair, smirking slightly. Guess I'm officially a hero now, huh? Mama D shook her head. No, you just did what was right. Within hours, the transplant was approved. Lawyers pushed through emergency paperwork, and the hospital prepared for surgery. The night before the procedure, Scrappy woke up for the first time in days. His voice was weak. Mama. Mama D rushed to his side, gripping his hand. I'm here, baby. Scrappy blinked, confusion flickering in his eyes. What's going on? Mama D stroked his forehead. You're gonna be okay. We found a donor. Scrappy tried to speak, but exhaustion overtook him. His eyes fluttered closed once more. The next morning, the surgery took place. It was a long, grueling procedure, but after 6 hours, it was a success. Scrappy was alive. The moment he woke up, Diamond burst into tears. Big Mike clapped his hands together. whispering, "Thank God." Mama D kissed her son's forehead. "You scared the hell out of us, boy." Scrappy gave a weak smile. "Sorry, Mama." As for D-Rock,